Let's make sure. Quick thumbs up if you could see my screen. Got the thumbs up. Perfect. All right. Well, it's week 5. I can't believe 5 weeks have already passed. There's so much content being thrown your way. I know it's like drinking from the fire hose, and I'm just grateful for you, for your attention, your energy, and for the time commitment that it takes to learn all this stuff and to try these things, new things, which is often uncomfortable. Um, Today, we're going to talk about insights. We have all kinds of unstructured data that we're all dealing with, whether it's call transcripts, chats, social posts, it's all just kind of sitting there. And what I want to focus on today is how we can turn that noise, or at least erratic text soup, into signal. We're going to use large language models to spot patterns, extract pain points. We're going to refine your messaging, your positioning based on what's actually happening inside of your go-to-market system. That's what we're touching on today. Really, we're going to talk about unstructured data as your secret weapon, right? Here are the real key inputs that you can prop against is something that we're going to talk about. Then we're going to do some live prompt testing. And then, of course, as you know, we're going to go into our breakout rooms and you're going to get to run your own experiments, ideally with your data. So if you get a moment during your bio break, get a chance to gather up your thoughts on what you want to test and ideally a data source that we can dive into. As always, I want you to walk away with some concrete tests to try in the coming week. And if you're having tough time finding time to experiment, remember that I and other Arrowhead EIRs are available for those kind of structured 30-minute one-on-one sessions. I know I had a couple of great ones this last week, so just want to remind you that those are available to you. Okay, so you already know you're sitting on a gold mine. You have support tickets, demo transcripts, Slack messages, Reddit threads, and I think most teams don't really look at them systematically. And Gen AI ultimately turns all of that unstructured text into an insight. And that insight then should feed forward and touch all of the concepts we've been learning and discussing in the previous weeks, right? It should drive better messaging, smarter positioning, faster learning. And the difference, as I've said before, between teams that scale and those that stall is how quickly are they learning and feed that learning back into more learning. And that's really what it's all about. So, with that in mind, we know that you have access to all manner of data. And not just data, but go to market data, right? We're not just talking about dashboards. Dashboards are great. They have all those nice numbers and metrics, and that's great. But there's so much more, and it's a new type of data that's unlockable through large language models. It's all that text, it's all the clues about what customers care about, what are they confused about, what the market is trending to or shifting toward. And that's really what we're going to use the LLMs to analyze. So, with that, this is essentially your prompt menu. These are the 5 most useful insight patterns that you can extract from the unstructured data. When we think about pain clustering, I want you to imagine what hurts across your user base. You're all likely doing some form of customer discovery because you're early stage, or you're mid stage, but you're still doing customer discovery because it's part of great customer qualification and the sales discovery process. As you are hopefully recording those meetings, then we need to do something with that transcript. It does you no good to record all these meetings and not get insights from them. If all you're getting is an automatic summary from Fireflies or whatever system you're using that prevents you from simply not having to take a lot of notes during the meeting, then you're missing the point, right? The point is to capture all of that data, throw it into some kind of LLM, maybe 5 transcripts, 10 transcripts, and have it identify the pain points that are common across, right? Cross transcript analysis. That's really the kind of way I want you to start thinking. Similarly, there's persona patterning. What different buyer types are emerging in this data that you have, whether it's in the transcripts or other places where you have a touch point with that customer? who are the personas that are coming out. And you'll remember that ties back to our week 1 content, where understanding the persona influences the messaging everywhere, from the website to your emails to your social media presence. Knowing who these people are and what they care about is of paramount importance. Number 3 is the positioning, right? How do you compare to others? We all know that we live in a competitive environment. And one of the most tempting things to do or say as an entrepreneur is, we're the first ones, we're the only ones, we have no competition. And we all know in this group that that's the wrong statement. There's always competitive products, even if they're just substitutes. Even if the competitive product is apathy, the customer just doesn't care, or the problem is at the critical point where they're not sure if they even need to solve it or aware that they have a pain point. So understanding the competitive set is not just who are you up against toe to toe, bake off of a buyer choosing you versus somebody else, but how do you compare versus no solution? How do you compare versus, hey, I just kind of cobble this together with spreadsheets? So understanding that through these transcripts and other data points that you might have available to you, Reddit comes to mind for this specific issue, is a great place to look for your prompting insights. All right, the fourth one is sentiment, urgency. And here what we're looking for is the tone, right? Is it urgent? Is it a hair on fire problem? In the past, we've talked about how different problems exist, but just because a problem exists does not mean that it needs to be solved or that it needs to be solved right away. So knowing that there's a problem is one thing. Knowing where it stacks or ranks in that buyer's mind is sort of the Jedi move, the more advanced version of what you need to be thinking about. How do you position your product around the relative ranking of the challenges that that particular person has? Great example that Adam gave us is, hey, I want to learn this new thing, but my bandwidth is constrained, right? These things that I'm teaching you in some ways is a product that I am offering you. And you see the value, but now it's always relative to something else. And so knowing what that is and how to position that is going to be your job as you think about how you want to sell your products. The last one is gap synthesis, right? We want to find the white space. You don't need to run all 5 simultaneously. Pick one that really fits with your current go-to-market challenge. And this last one, I think, is often the one that gets overlooked, because we tend to have an intuition about where the white space is. If we didn't, we would likely not be founders in your particular domains or industries where you are. However, challenge those assumptions. Um, if you use ChatGPT a lot, you're familiar with the sometimes sycophantic persona that it can adopt, where it's like, oh my God, you're a genius for thinking about that. Wow, great job. And I encourage you to consider adding some custom instructions into your ChatGPT that tells it that it is a brainstorming partner, that it is a founder or entrepreneurial coach, that it should not just sycophantically praise what you're doing and to critique and play devil's advocate to your thoughts. If you don't add that as an instruction to your full set of conversations, it may not be relevant. Then at least create a project folder where it has that additional instruction. And whenever you want to have that train of thought and that type of thinking, you contain the chats there. And so in this particular area around gap synthesis, I want you to think about whatever your intuition is about the white space, gut check that and have the LLM play devil's advocate and critique so that you can hopefully open up new perspectives there, and make sure that you are doubling down in the area that truly makes sense based on the conversations you have, your lived experience, and so forth. Okay, so let's start with this first analysis, and this is going to be a prompt type. It's feedback analysis. And what I want you to imagine is pasting in support tickets, pasting in call notes, even Slack threads if you're offering any kind of engagement point there with your customers. And then ask the LLM to cluster what the people are struggling with, right? You'll get categories like feature gaps, confusion points, positive moments, and then prompt the LLM to write all of that out back to you in some kind of plain language insights brief. And that's useful for yourself, but that's also useful as a tool that you can share with other members of your team, right? To get everyone rowing in the same direction at the same pace. This really becomes the raw material for updating your onboarding flows, the messaging, the roadmap. And I want to just touch again on that idea of getting an artifact that is shareable, some kind of memo that is circulatable among your team is an important part that I want you to constantly think about. Whatever insights you're drawing from the LLM, don't leave them there, right? It's not a one-on-one player. You want to make sure that you're bringing that out and sharing it with others. I'm often in the pattern of kind of taking the output of the LLM, let's say ChatGPT, pasting it into a Google Doc, and then sharing it with the teammates who need to see that and asking them to kind of come in and analyze and provide their commentary. The second one is a competition decoder. And for this, what I want you to think about in terms of the prompting and what we're trying to accomplish is I want you to imagine dropping in the competitor's homepage, their pricing page, any other information you can get about them, press releases, etc., and prompt the LLM to tell you what are the three value props that they're leading with, right? Who are they targeting? What persona are they going after? And how do they sound? What is the positioning and the brand that they have? And this is what helps you create that positioning contrast, some kind of snapshot of how you stand out, where you are blending in. The concept here is to get a quick, fast, low lift, and honest assessment of how you're comparing to all those different competitive offerings. And again, if you truly believe that there is no direct head-to-head competitor, then run this exercise anyway and frame the competition as sort of cobbling something together, right? Customer apathy or lack of education about the problem that they have. And that will still be a useful exercise for you. Okay, one more. Now we're going to look at this concept of the sales transcript. You all are probably doing some form of demo or some form of customer conversation with people. So I want you to imagine pasting that into the LLM and then prompting the LLM to pull out the pain points that it is detecting from that particular call transcript, pull out and itemize the objections that are coming up, right? As you know, in these sales conversations, the participants, the prospects, aren't saying, I object, and then they give you their objection. They're just raising questions. There's uncertainty about how they're expressing their agreeableness with a particular pain point that you are highlighting for them, right? Or they're having doubts. And so what we want to do is prompt the LLM to find those by reading in between the lines of the call transcript. That's the magic here, right? Ideally, if you're a very seasoned salesperson, you are having these kinds of conversations with your prospects and you just know you're hearing those objections and you're almost categorizing them. Oh, that's a pricing objection. That's a this kind of objection. Um, but if you're not, then the LLM is your co-pilot here. And it may not be live on the call with you, but the fact that you have that transcript allows it to find some of those read between the line moments. Now, as far as I know, we don't yet today have a sort of tonal LLM that not only gets the text, but also the tone and the emotion that was conveyed in the call. So I would argue that your intuition and experience here is still very much relevant. And to the extent that you can take additional notes and just annotate, timestamps or little notes of there was emotion here, perk your ears up and really find that. And in addition to the transcript that you paste in, provide your annotations. There was some energy around when we discussed X. There was doubt in their voice when we were discussing Y. And that really helps guide the LLM to look for those moments in the transcripts. Now, the other thing I want you to do, and these of course are broken out separate, is to highlight the signals when they're ready to buy. Because again, unless you're very experienced, it can be hard to detect those. It's easy to miss. those subtle cues. As you already know, it's unlikely they're gonna be like, great, amazing, where do I sign the contract, right? It's usually the salesperson who has to drive the process and push for the close and keep moving the train forward. And so knowing where those signals are and when to lean in is really important. Uh, you'll just kind of learn it over time, but have the LLM help you here to tune your ears to that particular moment. Okay, the last thing is extract a quote that shows where the buyer's head is at, right? How should we change our pitch or follow up based on this is a great follow up question. And the idea here is you want to sharpen those playbooks every week. If you're having at least one sales call every week, the next week should be 1% better. And if you just keep compounding that improvement over time, then you'll be a great salesperson in no time to be able to handle these kinds of objections and detecting the buying signals and shepherding the deal to a close. Okay, so I wanted to reserve time for more time for our breakouts than usual. And we had some facilitator shuffle, so I'm going to be one of the facilitators. I'm very excited to work very closely with all of you, and we can go into, of course, this week's session, but I also want to reserve time based on, Adam's comment and others around this is the time that we have. Let's use it to kind of move the ball forward. I'm going to explain what our breakout sessions are today, and then I want to open up an ample amount of Q&A so that we really figure out where we are and where we want to go. For today's breakouts, what we're going to do is pick one data type that you have, and that's going to be, of course, your feedback, the transcripts, any competitor content, trend chatter on Reddit, or any other threads that you find. And then I want you to run 1 or 2 prompt experiments in our facilitation rooms using the templates that we've talked about. As I did last week, I'm going to provide you all with my starter pack templates that you can copy paste, make your own, edit, and so forth. And then we're going to regroup as we usually do and share back some of the insights that you have uncovered and what is the testable go-to-market challenge you're going to set yourself for that week and commit to it and do it. So that's the expectation for our breakout rooms. Just as a reminder, some of the key takeaways here is that the AI doesn't just give you the answers, right? It's going to give you some visibility, some insight into what's happening in all this unstructured data that you already have access to. But at the end of the day, you still need to interpret and act on it. And now we're just going to work with clearer signals. So feedback is your go-to-market compass. It's what helps you learn faster and make sure you've got your messaging tight. And that is going to be better than endless brainstorms about, should we say it this way? Should we say it that way? And all the kind of missed opportunity that happens when we go down that path. Okay, let's open it up to Q&A. And anything is on the table. If it's technical and it's operational, happy to unpack those challenges as well. And we've got at least a good 20-25 minutes for us to do that. So no question is too small. And as you already saw, if you are wondering the question, it's very likely that out of 10 other people or 11 other people, they are as well. So this is super helpful for everyone. And then at the top of the hour, we'll transition into our breakout rooms and we'll get hands-on keyboard for some experiential learning. Okay, so who's my first guinea pig with the questions? Go ahead and just raise your hand or unmute yourself. Don't be shy. Wow.
Can we go through one of the I'm just not sure on this if it's Q&A and it's actually just trying to test the sort of piggybacking off of trying some stuff out.
Yeah, let's do it.
Two of the big things you were just bringing up was either the user calls or the competitors on that end. So I was just curious if we could pick one of those and maybe kind of walk through it, and it just might help us out when we get to the breakouts too.
Absolutely. Let me bring that up and share that here with the group. Okay, so GitHub is where I've been putting these resources for you. I just I'm assuming so far that people have been able to access these. Can I just get a quick thumbs up from folks that these are accessible here? Yep, people are good. Thank you. So I'm going to navigate to the week 5 content, and I'll drop this chat right there. You can now access this. And this is the little extraction prompt pack that I put together for this week's session. So Michael, if you want to take a look at that, maybe you want to pick one, and then we can sort of do one together where I drive, and that will help everyone just guide their own in the facilitated session. I think it's what I heard you were interested
Yeah.
in.
Let's just do the competitor positioning decoder because I think that might be a little bit easier for us to just grab some data from quickly.
Yep, sounds good. So, here's the prompt for the competitive positioning decoder. I'm just going to hit copy right here, and that's going to grab this prompt as is. And Michael, I'll use equality as an
Can you
example.
use an actual competitor?
Yeah,
This one that I
let's do it
had.
live. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was on a call yesterday and was going on over some stuff, and somebody was like, "Great, if you add this, this will get me off of Keeper's software, but until you add X, Y, and Z, they do a good job at this." So I was like,
Okay,
"Oh, I was familiar on this, but not on how their financial review component is." So yeah,
let's
it's
do it. What's the name?
keeper.app. App, yeah, is the exactly cool.
I'm gonna get the non-advertising
Google, yeah,
URL.
exactly.
Otherwise, all right. Let's go here.
So for
Okay.
this session, we're just using this through ChatGPT, not with something else connected to it like Diffie or
Yeah,
anything.
great question, and I think it relates to Jason's note
Right.
earlier. I don't have a strong opinion for you in terms of what tool you want to use, whether you want to
Yeah.
use term-based interaction in chat, Diffie, Zapier, whatever you want to use, whatever feels most comfortable. The main thing I want you to do is to do it. And so if Diffie is in any way a barrier or friction to just doing it, go straight to GPT first. And I want you to get reps in, right? I know I'm asking you to run a marathon. You're not going to just start running day one, at the Boston Marathon. We need to run a couple of practice races, do some training at home, run a mile, then 2, then 5, etc. So start with ChatGPT, get comfortable, and once you get to a point where you realize, dang, I am having to chain three, this, for example, in this prompt, a pro tip here wouldn't be to ask all 4 questions in one prompt. I'm doing that in the starter pack to kind of compress it and not give you a 50,000 character prompt packed. Uh, the pro move here would be to break all of these out into separate LLM calls because as you now know, it performs better when it does one discrete thing and when it's very detailed and nuanced, right? So if I'm going to analyze Keeper as a competitor, and I also need to analyze competitor B, C, D, and F, at some point in my systems level thinking brain, I sort of revolt at the idea of sitting in front of the chatbot for an hour, basically copy pasting and babysitting it to do what I need it to do. Whenever you get to that point where you feel that, like, whoa, I'm spending a lot of time just copy pasting and managing this tool, that's when you're going to feel the pull and the need to do this inside of Diffie or in some kind of workflow tool. Does that make sense in terms of like how I think about when to choose one versus a different tool?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's for me with Dominic, who's obviously on this call as well. He's once we went through Diffie and he's our CTO, he's like, "Oh, I know 10 different ways we can use this to help out on workflows, et cetera." So I think
Awesome.
there's just different levels of people's, familiarity with the technical side. So that's where some of them were just walking through some of the details. At least it's helpful for me. And
Cool.
hearing your context on when to use it.
Excellent. What I've done is I've shortened the prompt to just focus on one question. You're a competitive analyst, visit the site, and what are the top 3 themes in their messaging? Let's let her rip. And I want to make sure. Okay, yep, I put 4.0. For a task like this, I might encourage you to use O3 or O4 mini because they have a thinking component. And the thinking component, in case that's not common parlance for everyone, essentially means that it's going to brainstorm first how to accomplish the prompt that you have asked. Then it's going to go and follow the series of steps that it has laid out for itself. That tends to result in higher quality answers, but they are slower, right? It could take 30 to 60 seconds. And so I just don't want to do that in today's session so we can get quick answers from 4.0. But for a task like this, I would probably enable the thinking capabilities.
When would you ever use just 4.0? Would that just be just
Speed.
speed? That's
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speed. And generally speaking, if I don't need it to, let's say I was doing classification or clustering analysis and I had to do a lot of it, that would be a case where 4.0 would make sense, right? Let's say I want to analyze, and then, I mean, if we want to really go in the weeds, there's 4.0 mini, which is, a little quote unquote dumber, but it's even faster and costs much less. And so in some cases where you want to classify thousands of documents that you have in your knowledge base, etc., you would use that model instead. Okay, let's stay on task here. The top 3 themes in the messaging for Keeper. They kind of talk about the streamlined booking operations, these elements. Okay, now with this content in play, what I would then do is go back to my prompt pack and let's just ask the next question, right? What buyer persona are they targeting? And so now we've got whatever context it is loaded about Keeper, whatever messaging has already been brought into the context window, and then now we're asking what the buyer persona is. So let's just take a moment, read that, Michael, and see if this is, in the strike zone.
Yep.
Is this are these roles and titles the kind of person who was giving you feedback about Keeper recently?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then I would continue and
Just
kind of,
do those individually to
yep,
get the better
do them
feedback.
individually, get the data out. And what you'll see is that when it does it this way, step by step, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new chat as well. And I'm going to put in the same thing, but I'm going to throw it all together as one, just so you can see the difference between the two.
That's awesome.
And what's great is that your mileage may vary because, they're always changing these things. And then what I'll also do, if it's interesting for folks, is maybe in parallel is I'll run the same prompt using the thinking. Okay. I'll run the same kind of big one with the thinking, and we'll see what it comes up. This one's going to kind of be in the background and take some time. All right, so here's 4.0 with all of the questions and the ask all tied together. All right, similar key messaging that it found. You can see the target buyer persona, one paragraph.
Yeah.
It's okay. A couple of pain points, identifies the tone and the positioning. And that's because these systems are often tuned to output a specific amount of tokens. And that has to do with some inside baseball on how the cost structure looks like for ChatGPT and all these different LLMs. In theory, they could output thousands and thousands of tokens, but through fine tuning and human reinforced learning, they know that you as a user don't want to read a 10,000 character treatise on a question unless you specifically tell it that that's what you want. And therefore, when you give it a lot of context and a lot of questions, its first cut is to just give you little taste of all of those pieces. Whereas if we go one by one, it's still kind of keeping that 1,000, 1,500 token output default, but now it's specifically narrowed to a given question that you're asking. You're going to get more nuance. And that's important as we build up the prompts because with each step, we're going to add nuance, and that nuance is being maintained in the thread, in the conversational thread, and therefore the context window as we continue to ask questions. Okay. So we've got this additional now pain points. You can see here what it is. Nice little table, all those things. Let's go back and let's ask this last question.
Yeah, I think that one was really well done.
You read this, you feel good about this?
The first one, the pain point, I like that. Yeah. I mean, that's basically the main thing I was trying to look for as well.
Okay. All right, so here's the final part. I'm going to go back and grab our pack, and then now I'm going to ask it to do the sort of key part once it's done streaming all this beautiful content. Okay, now, and I don't know what level of deep detail you want, and I'm going to just sort of riff on this and say, I want to be able to share this with my management team, create this in a simple to digest outline format, be as detailed as possible on the pain points was the part that you wanted the most.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's going to keep going. We can come back and review it.
Oh,
Let's go
and
back to this one. And this is basically the like this whole thing is the same output when we asked it all as one.
huh. Wait, is there more? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep. Now, we could look at this and say, well, which one is better? I think that's really up to you and what you're trying to accomplish with this artifact that you're creating and this knowledge that you're downloading into your brain, right? Um, this one's obviously more detailed and is more directed at what we want it to do, but it's also more work, right? I had to sit in front of it and kind of take turns and guide it. Um, like I mentioned before, if I'm going to do 5 of these, 10 of these in the competitive landscape, personally, I would just set that up as Diffie with each of the questions a different node in the chain and have the output just be like, now give me this as an output. And then I would add an iterator and I would say, repeat this loop for every person in this list. And then I would just give it the list. Now I would come back to it a few minutes later and all of this would be there. That's a kind of coming back to your earlier question about
Right.
which system would you use when? Okay.
And then if we were going about, let's say, the transcript one, and this is just sort of piggybacking on what you said with the different models,
Yep.
and I had 10 different transcripts. These meetings are each a half hour long. I'm guessing that's where you would use just 4.0 just because it's digesting a bunch of information and it would be too slow for the I guess
Too slow is
oh
really
03.
relative to your needs, right?
Or sorry, not too slow. Okay, yeah, sorry. Continue, please.
Um, there is perhaps one more consideration there, which is these are half hour, maybe sometimes 60-minute long transcripts. Average people speak, I think, 150 to 200 something words per minute. And so you'll max out the token window, the context window that you have at some point. And so when you have your transcripts, I want you to think about pasting them not as tokens in here, like don't just paste in here, but rather save them as text files and drag them and paste them into the context, into the chat. And that is different because when you paste it in, it is attaching it as a file and building essentially a knowledge base. And then that knowledge base is being pulled in. I don't know if this is relevant to everyone, but it'll do something called vectorization, RAG, etc. And if you want to go into that, we can. Long story short, it doesn't bring in the whole transcript into the limited context window. It will search against the transcript for pieces of information that are relevant to the request that you have. And then it will bring those relevant pieces only into the context to answer your question. So if you get to a point where you have 10 transcripts, there's not a chance that 10 30-minute transcripts are going to fit the, I forget what it is right now because it keeps changing and enhancing, but 128,000 token window in ChatGPT 4.0. And what would you use? 4.0, 04, 03, all those different questions. For that, you could say what is the context window of ChatGPT models, and 128,000 tokens. And then you're probably wondering, well, how big is that? Well, fortunately, there is a OpenAI token counter, tokenizer. So this gives you an idea of how many tokens are in a word, right? And so let's do this. I will bring up a transcript, and it's a transcript that's safe to put in here. It's our transcript from our last recording as an example. Maybe that's a useful. Okay, there it is in VTT format. There you are. Look at that at the end of
Nice.
the call. Okay, this entire transcript, which is, as you can see from the timestamps, an hour and 13 minutes, was 23,000 tokens in OpenAI token parlance. So you put in a couple of these back to back, and you're going to overwhelm the context window that you have.
And if I attach this as a Word file, then what does that go down to?
Right. If you attach it as a Word file, you don't take up any of the context window at all. The system on its own is going to search your Word file, determine what are the relevant pieces from it, and
Right.
selectively bring in the pieces that are in there. The
So I
only
could
way,
add 20 Word docs and it would be
correct,
0 tokens.
correct. It's not 0 tokens. The system will on its own balance your request and how many tokens you put into the request. And it will likely try to maximize the amount of tokens that it can bring in to answer your question without overflowing the context window. So there are some limits. You said 20 files. I sort of nodded agreeably. It depends on the files, right? Not any 20 files. You could have a file that's a gigabyte long and it's, 1 billion characters. Okay, no, not that. But within some limits that they allow in the platform, you can upload many files of reasonable sizes and lengths, like a transcript, and that won't be a problem. Okay. And let me just quickly show that to you. I think maybe that'll be relevant and interesting. Does that answer your set of questions in the meantime?
Yes, I believe it does. And sorry, last one, I asked this last week, just want to completely confirm it. When we have like the ChatGPT Plus, when we use Diffie and it's pulling stuff via API, that's when the additional charges happen. As long as we're doing it right within ChatGPT, like if I'm creating an image, they'll time us out when they don't want us to use too much, and it's still just that 20 a month. Okay, cool.
Correct. That's right. Yep. And I'll use my food and recipes project folder where I do a lot of my cooking. By the way, pro tip: do this often. It's awesome. I
Made
take
steak
pictures
sauce
of,
last night.
yeah, good. I take pictures of my fridge and just kind of ad lib what I have, and I say I'm gonna make this. What side dishes can I make with what I have? Ah, it's beautiful. Any case, you see here, once you're inside a project, you can add files. You can add chats, files. You can add those custom instructions that I was telling you about. And then those files then form the basis of that RAG, retrieval augmented generation, where it's not overflowing your context window, but searching across those files to answer the question that you've prompted into the system. Okay. Let's go back real quick to the O3 version of the put everything in there analysis. So this was the same prompt, all of it together in O3. And you see here it has this thinking step. And this is the sort of internal quote unquote monologue that the model is having. It's understanding what the question is, how it's going to go about answering it. It shows you that it searched the web. It's keeping track here of what it's doing and then what it's doing against that list and when it's complete. And so you could see that relative to 4.0, it did a better job of understanding what we're trying to do, and it kind of picked up on the messaging themes, provided supporting evidence. I think the buyer persona, when you still kind of have this all-in-one question, is still a little, it's soft. It's dialed in. And that's pretty much, this is the report. So I leave that to you to decide where you want to spend that time. and how you want to prompt these systems to get the level of detail that you want and ultimately need for what you're doing. Okay, let me just check in with everyone. How are we doing with questions? Anybody else have questions? Anything else we want to unpack in detail before we break out in 10 minutes or so? And I'm happy to do a different example from our prompt starter pack if that's relevant, if people want to dive into that. I think that's useful for people to see as well.
Do you have transcripts available that we could try on that thing? I mean, that's a little bit different.
Yeah, the transcripts that I have available that are shareable and recordable would likely be limited to the ones that we have from our class.
Yeah.
There's not
Okay.
going to be a lot of sales conversations there. Um, so I think I recommend that we save the actual raw real data for the breakout rooms so that we can share and focus on that.
Cool.
Don Robertson, go for it.
Hey, I have like 15 or 20 customer discovery interviews that I have not processed in AI at all. So
Glorious.
I'm happy to volunteer.
Awesome. Let's do it. You want to
Cool.
share those? Are you cool with kind of doing it together here with everyone?
Yeah, absolutely. If it's useful.
Let's
I
go.
just cut and pasted them into this like doc. What should I do? Should I share my screen and just,
Yeah, if you want to drive or if you want to share them with me and I could drive, whichever way you want to do it.
I am happy to be a passenger. Do you want me to email you this doc or
Yeah,
how
email it
can
to me or put it in the chat, the link to it, and we'll grab it in.
Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Cool, let's do it. All right, in the meantime, I'm going to open up a new project folder so I can put that file and you'll watch that happen.
Okay. I'm just gonna email it to you right now because I don't have it in.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Just waiting for that email to land. Then we'll bring it up on the screen.
Okay, sent. In the meantime, I just saw a TED Talk that said that AI is now lying and cheating. Um, Rod, have you heard about that? I just saw a TED Talk with Tristan Harris, that
So
Google dude.
it's interesting to frame it that way, right? Lying and cheating, I think, often have elements of intentionality behind it. There's some kind of like, why do you lie? Why do you cheat? It's often for some ulterior motive or purpose that's happening. So I put a question mark on whether I would use those words, but taking the lawyer hat off and just kind of common parlance, yeah, I've heard of it, lying and cheating. You have too. It does it all the time when it hallucinates or sycophantically tells you something it thinks you want to hear, but not necessarily answering your question in a, you know, where it meets your expectations. So I don't know that it has any intent behind deceiving you. Its intent is to simply provide the most statistically rewarding answer that humans have chosen as the reward function during the training phase. Now,
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that there's no intentionality behind these
yeah.
large language models. I think the thing is that I think the threshold that recently we crossed was that AI was intentionally trying to program itself because it thought that's what we wanted, which is like the core of those science fiction
Yeah,
plots from like those early science. Yeah. So anyway,
totally.
maybe you have the email.
Yes, I do. I am pulling it up here on my screen. And tell me a little bit of context about what I'm looking at in terms of the
Okay, so
yeah.
my mission is to conquer unconscious scrolling. And so I'm developing an app that has an overlay that like helps you stay with your intentionality so you don't doom scroll through various like heart rate variability tools, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so these are open-ended customer discovery interviews in which I literally just ask them, how do you feel about your phone? Do you want to change your relationship with your phone at all?
Mhm.
And how and like what are your current solutions and do you think they're good enough? So literally, I have not processed this at all. So I mean, I'm looking at your customer feedback synthesis prompt where it says, you know, the top 3 pain points mentioned. We could literally just do that.
Yeah, let's do it. One note that I'll add, we're going to do this example, all of us together. And one sort of clue I imagine that I get from this is that given the paragraph lengths for each of these people that are represented here, my guess is that these are your distillation of a 15 to 30-minute call where you took away something from that conversation and put them all here. Am I correct in that thinking?
Yeah, so I was typing while I was interviewing.
Yep.
So, or sometimes I would go back and put notes that I remembered. So yeah, it's not as useful
Not the
maybe as an
prompt.
actual transcript, like an otter transcript, but
Yep. Okay, I just want to make sure I had that context. And I bring that up only to say that this document has 2,700 words, 15,000 characters. For something of this length, if we go to the tokenizer, for example, and put it in, it's only 3,400 tokens. That very comfortably sits within the context window of a chat, which means that we have the option of attaching it as a file. I'll show that to you just so we're all on the same page in case you have one day a full transcript or many that you want to attach. But for this project, I probably would just be comfortable pasting it in directly, offset by triple tilde, so that it knows that I want to, these are called decorators. I'm adding the decorator so that it knows that this content is the transcript. And we'll do that here together. So I'm going to start with the prompt. I pasted that in. I told it here, analyze the following raw customer feedback. And I'll say maybe like from notes that I took after during a 30-minute interview with each of the interviewees. Okay. And as before, I would break these up into individual requests. And this is the final request. And I say, here is the set of transcripts. Here is notes from those interviews. Triple tilde. And now one other really important thing. If you have any kind of structuring in Markdown, I would bring that with us. So I'm going to highlight all, and I'm going to copy as Markdown. Does everyone know what Markdown is? Can I just get a quick thumbs up, or should I unpack that a little bit? Getting some shaking heads. Okay, Markdown is the way that various modern systems that interpret text look at bolding, headings, italics, divisions, etc. It's a very simple text-only markup language. And so if I look at this, this is a heading of 2. This has bold on it, and so forth. And so when I copy it as Markdown, I'm going to paste it as Markdown again down below so you can see what it looks like in Markdown. When I paste it as Markdown, bolds are double asterisks, headings have hashtags, and it turns out that this additional context, the LLMs are very good at interpreting and picking it up, which adds nuance to whatever you're pasting in. It's not just, here's all the information. The structure itself has some kind of meaning, right? And so I'm going to paste that in as that Markdown. Whenever you can, I recommend that you do that. And let's go ahead and hit go. While it does its thing, Michael, you had a question. Go for it.
Yeah, just I think you're showing us a few more. My only question was like, were there any more of these little hacks, like with the triple tildes or whatever, versus now you're starring certain areas. So that was my question, but it seems like you're going through something.
Yep. So the stars themselves are just basically bold indicators. These. And the stars are the markdown expression of how to bold something, which I'm giving it
Are
to.
those specific? Like if I, instead of using the stars, if I used dot on each side, would it recognize that I'm using a certain pattern?
It is
Or is it?
recognizing. Yes, it is recognizing. This is a format called Markdown. And so as an example, this entire thing you see here, all of
Yeah.
this is all in Markdown. And in Markdown, it has been interpreted as this visual layout that you see. So if I click on edit, you'll see that this whole thing is in Markdown. It's got a hash, stars. It's got, it's got these triple tildes, which create offsets. It has
Okay, but those are specific, right?
specific.
Like we need, yeah, okay, cool. That's what I was wondering.
Yep.
And is there a database of anything that's easy to look at to be able to figure out, all these different things to use, like since they are specific?
There is definitely I won't call it a database. There is a style sheet and an explainer somewhere. Ask
Okay,
ChatGPT to guide
cool.
you on that, and or
Yes.
tell it to just output in Markdown, and it will.
Okay, thank you.
Many of the things when you hit copy, anything you hit copy in ChatGPT is already formatted as Markdown, actually. So it's very handy. So I'm gonna go back to Don. Don, here we had I pasted in all of your interviews that you did, and it is identifying top pain points surfaced across 18 interviews. Very cool. Congrats, by the way, for getting 18 interviews. That's no joke. That's difficult to do. So awesome start. Interesting that it kind of pulled in some of these elements. And what I would do, oh, okay, it's already doing it. I like that it's annotating how many people suffered that pain point. I like that a lot. I would probably have it come up and add it as an additional column to identify how many people and which ones had that challenge. It's doing it as well here, but it's just a different way. Oh my God, these network errors are killing us. It's high traffic right now on the system. Gotta love it. So, and then Don, as you already know, we would continue with, uh, following up and continuing to add on to this. Right now, because I'm using O3, it takes up so much of their system resources that I'm not surprised that it is maybe having a hard time finishing. It's slower. It's you have to have more patience with it. It's more powerful, but you could run into this kind of a challenge. Does that answer your questions, Don?
Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, I'm still building the MVP, so I'm definitely not, go to market is not like top of mind right now. But I mean, this is exactly what I need in order to go to market. Like people buy via emotion, so I need to reflect back the emotions that they're feeling, and I love that it's just like distilling all of that. And
Perfect.
also, I feel like this is good like market differentiation because a lot of people are not happy with the solutions that are already on the market. So this will be perfect for like positioning.
Yeah, 100%. Very cool. Okay, I just saw we have our facilitator with us. I'm your other facilitator, so we're ready to go. Um, quick raise of hand. Who needs a bio break? Do we need to do that, or should we just launch right into our facilitated session? Everyone's good. I love it. Okay. In that case, let me introduce you to Chris. Chris is part of the AI Pioneers Club with me and a bunch of other very talented people who are at the cutting edge of generative AI, whether they're building something, consulting other companies. And I know, Chris, you work with a lot of teams on go-to-market implementations that leverage generative AI. Let me hand it over to you, Chris, for a brief few-minute introduction, and then we'll recap what the goal is of our breakout session.
Hey, it's nice to meet everybody. Thanks for letting me play with you guys today. So my name's Chris Black. I focus on early stage tech startups, seed to really Series B or so. Today, I'm really focused on Series A organizations. So I'm helping entrepreneurs figure out how to grow their business without having to hire initially. As you probably know better than most, funding is hard to get, takes a little while. So I'm helping them use generative AI to build web applications, to figure out go to market. Sorry, you just saw my assistant walk by the screen here. Um, it can be content generation. That's the easy stuff. But where I'm really focused is in helping CEOs create co-CEOs to help them strategize with the organization, to go through metrics, to do this kind of competitive analysis. Um, Really anything you can think of. I'm going to town with this stuff. I have a top 10 marketing talks and tools in 10 minutes talk that I give. So I'm trying to stay on top of the latest and greatest. And of course, your illustrious leader here is part of that journey with me most of the time.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. Back on the screen share, you could see that we have our breakout instructions. I already touched on this, but just a brief refresher. Choose an unstructured data type that you have easy access to. It could be anything, right? Customer feedback, like Don showed us, transcripts, like Michael mentioned, competitors by just pointing to a website, any kind of trend chatter that you might pick up in a Reddit subchannel. And then I want us to run through at least 1 or 2 prompt experiments. You should have this link in the chat, and it has a variety of prompts that you can try. We looked at customer feedback synthesis together. We looked at the competitor one. Find the one that matches your data type that you've chosen, and then hands on keyboard, try it out. In the facilitated sessions, you're going to have Chris and I in separate breakout rooms, just kind of poking and prodding and pushing you forward, answering questions, suggesting ways to enhance the line of thinking that you already have. And then pick one person in your breakout room to share back with everyone at the end to tell us what you learned and how you would improve that. Pick one challenge and experiment that you really want to focus on your own for the coming week so we can unpack that next Thursday. Okay, so with that, let me go to Alejandro. Are we ready with our breakout rooms? Thumbs up. All right, folks, this is the fun stuff. I'll see you in the breakout rooms, and we'll be back at 10:50 for the share back. Hello. I love it. This is a great group already. This is excellent. I'm very blessed. Okay, so you all already know me. I already know all of you, so we can just dive right in. Let me start with... let me just check in with each of you. Do you have a data sample that you want to use for our session? Have you already identified that?
I have a tactics transcript from a customer discovery interview, but I'm just starting to figure out how to download it. So I have it to use.
Okay, sounds good. Monica, you have something you're going to use today?
I do. I have 2 sales transcripts I'd like to evaluate.
Perfect. Adam?
Yeah, I have a transcript. I'm just trying to find it in my file system. So I'm in the background looking for it.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll give you all maybe just a few minutes to just grab that and have it handy. All right. And then do you guys mind if I hit record in our session here?
Recording in progress.
Perfect. I didn't realize we could record the breakouts. I thought it was the main room only. So exciting. More content. Okay, so I heard Monica has sales transcripts. Trace, you are downloading and finding the artifact. Adam, same with you. Let's start maybe with Monica if you already have those transcripts queued up. One moment.
What's the best way to kind of copy paste from Zoom? I think that's kind of where I'm stuck right now.
Okay. Why don't you share your screen? Because this is probably a question that everyone has, and we can unpack that.
All right, is this my... There we go. Here's meeting number 1. And then on the separate window, I have meeting number 2.
Perfect. Okay, so these are summaries of your transcript. We want the actual transcript. You see on the bottom left, it says summaries. Right above it, it says recordings and transcripts. Okay, on the far right is, yes, good.
All right, that was one. And this was one.
Awesome. Go ahead and download those.
All right, download. All right.
Great.
Move you over. Oh, sorry, I have to, this is what I copy?
I can't see the transcripts. If
you can't, sorry.
Because I think you've shared a browser window as opposed to the whole screen, which is totally fine.
Okay.
Go ahead and open up your LLM of choice.
Okay, I have that.
Perfect.
And I started.
What I want you to do, because we're using transcripts, I want you to create a project so that we can put in the files as project files. So on the far left, below new chat, is a project marker.
Okay.
Great. Top right, new project.
Alrighty.
Call it customer sales discovery or whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that it
And
actually uses a description or trying to achieve. I mean, analyze sales calls.
all right.
Okay, create that project. Perfect. Now, on the far right, you see where it says project knowledge?
Yes.
The plus sign on the far right. Go ahead and click that. And then upload from your device. Now add the transcripts you just downloaded.
Where did I find them? Let me get them for a sec. Where did I? Hold on 1 second. Do I save these or?
You downloaded them, so it likely means that it looks like maybe you're on Mac.
Yeah.
In which case, they're most likely in your downloads folder or your
Yeah.
documents folder.
Okay, let me just stop sharing for a second because I get like weirded out.
I know. It's weird. Go ahead and find those, and let me just check in with Trace and Adam. Do you all have your
Yeah, what I
documents?
have is a video, and I'm trying to find a transcript just because of what the meeting went. So
Yep.
I'm still looking for that transcript.
If you have a video, are you on Slack?
Yes and no. Like I don't use it every day, but I can access it, do some with it.
Okay. Turn on Slack. And then go to open up a direct message conversation with yourself. And then paste the video that you have as a direct message to yourself. Within a few minutes, you'll get a transcript with timestamps.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's probably the easiest way we can just get a transcript out of that conversation for you.
No, that's cool. Let me do it.
So I guess
I'm
mine's
having a
just
hard
uploading right now.
time too, figuring out how to download the actual transcript. It has all these AI tools that can make me a summary, but the actual transcript, I can't.
Share your
figure
screen.
out.
Maybe I could help you get
Okay.
past that challenge.
Let's see.
Okay.
You see it?
Tactic. Got it.
So I clicked all prompts.
So I assume Tactic is your sort of kind of co-pilot meeting bot of choice where it takes meetings and whatnot.
Yeah, so here's the transcript.
Yes. Okay, got it. And I suspect that okay. Let's try. You see the top right, there's a export button. It's the second button from the left on the top ribbon. It's to the
There.
left of share, to the left of copy link, left of there it is. Export. Try that. TXT. And then open that up and make sure that that's the actual transcript.
While she's opening that up, I get the video link, and then what do I do within Slack?
Just send the video to yourself.
Like just as a message?
Yeah, just as a message. Drag and drop the video to your in a chat message to yourself.
So if it's in like a Google Drive, I need to have the hard file on the desktop.
I'm not sure actually. Try just doing it as a Google share. I'm not sure if it'll transcribe it, but
I put transcribe this video and I put the link and just nothing happened at all.
Got it. Then yes, you do need the actual file uploaded directly to Slack.
Okay.
So try that.
Yeah.
And then Trace, was that the transcript that we just downloaded?
Yep.
Perfect.
And now it's in my download folder.
Excellent.
As a text. Yep.
Very good. In the meantime, you could follow the same set of steps that we were doing with Monica. What's your LLM of choice? Claude or ChatGPT or something else?
Gemini.
Okay. In Gemini, I believe they also have the project's concept. I'm less familiar with the UI on how to do that. Can you navigate to projects and create a project for yourself?
Can I share again?
Yes, please. What a diverse crowd. ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Man. Fortunately, I play with all these tools often enough that I kind of know where the bodies are buried, but they keep changing.
So we're keeping you on your toes.
I know, it really is. It's like never
Uh,
stop learning here.
Can I quickly, I'm a
Well,
little bit, oh, sorry.
It's probably not. Yeah.
Go ahead. You were saying, Monica?
If I can share here, it's uploaded now.
Perfect.
What do I do next?
Okay, good. So this brings up an important point. You see how these pasted transcripts have a certain number of lines, and they're taking up 35% of your knowledge capacity. What that means is that this goes to Michael's question. Can I put 20 documents? You can put as many documents as you want, but you're capped by some amount of text that they're counting. You're at 35% of the total amount of text that they're willing to offer you in this kind of knowledge retrieval method. So that's fine. We're well within the knowledge capacity. Now, in the chat box where it says, how can I help you today? You're going to put the prompt that you were starting to draft.
Okay. New.
Oh, look at that. Typing, no copy paste.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what, now I have to.
Nice. Put up across, yeah, I would add here across the transcripts that are in this project,
Okay.
just so that it's super clear. Go for it.
Okay. And
Hit
then does it
go.
go? All right.
Okay, so
Yeah, one
that's
went really well and one felt painful. So I'm curious to.
give us your free form thoughts as you review this. These won't make a lot of sense to us, but surely they mean something to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, the call with Jeff was a little bit, like I said, more painful. The one with Alex went very well. So I just kind of want to see where I think it's a lot. I almost want it to like break it in bullet points for me. And then I can kind of double click on other areas. It just seems to be
Yep. Let's go back to the top.
all over the place.
Yep. Go back to the top and then hover over your prompt.
Okay, where do I go?
Hover your
Get
mouse.
back.
Yes, hover over your prompt.
Okay.
And on the bottom
I
right, when you
think,
hover over it, it'll say edit.
okay. Okay.
You see on the bottom
Oh,
right
wait.
of your prompt, it now says edit.
No, I'm trying to get rid of the screen. Okay. Where do I see
Bottom right of your
edits?
colored box
Oh,
at the end of the
God.
word are in this project. And I want to find
Uh-huh.
an annotate pencil so I can kind of quickly highlight things for you.
Maybe
Yes.
you're this. I see it. There was something the Zoom thing was covering. Anyways,
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead and add those additional instructions that you had for it.
Okay, please
Yeah.
summarize with bullet points to begin before we dive into more detail.
Great. Anything else that you want to see? It's fine. We'll keep
No.
it reading. It's all good. I agree. This is much more consumable.
Mm-hmm. I'd be curious to know why like one call went so well versus the others.
Let's go.
I wouldn't say it didn't go well, but it wasn't
Now
so
in this part, I wouldn't edit. I wanted to edit
okay.
because I every time you edit the top prompt in a chain or in a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
you're effectively resetting the context window up to that checkpoint. So if you
Got
keep
it.
editing, it won't take any of the output into context for the follow-up conversations. So
Okay.
in the bottom where it says reply to Claude, this is where we can now start asking questions, and perhaps you could say, compare and contrast my sales, I want to say performance, capabilities,
Approach, maybe?
approach. Yep. Between the two calls. Yeah. And maybe add something like what went well, what didn't. You like to just jump the gun. Just
I just do. I think it's because I'm like on
it's all good.
the. um, reactive.
So I would say that this flavor of prompting that we're doing now is less about
Uh,
extracting insights from the transcripts and more about sales coaching. Both are super
okay.
valuable and both are very valid use cases of a LLM in this sales transcript scenario. But just wanted to kind of highlight that for anyone watching or
Okay.
participating in the room.
And what if I want to take this and share it with my team, the
Perfect.
actual sales guys? So I just hit that copy and
Yep.
then put it on email
Email's
or
fine.
whatever, or
But
document or whatever.
I personally like Google Docs. I kind of open up a
Okay.
new tab, docs.new in the address bar, opens up a new
Okay.
document. I paste it there, and then that allows me to share it and allows me to continue editing it if I want.
Okay.
My disagreement with email is it's kind of like a one and done, and that's it. I can't keep editing without creating a bunch of email noise. So
That's a
I
good
much
point.
prefer that, but you do you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to maybe Trace or Adam if you guys are ready for a similar analysis.
I am. I did it. I can share my screen.
Excellent. Let's see it.
All right.
Cool. All right. So you just drag the file in. Great. And you put in the excellent.
Yeah, it
How did you
worked.
how did you feel about the output and what we can improve to get more of the insights that you're looking for?
I think what I'd like to do is combine a bunch of the customer discovery interviews into one file and then do it. I think that would be more useful than just one
Okay.
conversation.
I think you could do that, but I want to suggest to you don't take on that additional work. I suspect that you can attach multiple files. So
Oh,
attach multiple
oh,
files and then
gotcha.
ask
Okay.
it to perform a cross transcript, cross file analysis and pulling out the pain points, the, whatever challenges that you want to have it focus on.
Awesome. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you.
Very cool. How about you, Adam?
I'm going in my email and I have the transcript and I'm trying to review the meeting recap with Fireflies. But we went from a Microsoft environment to a Google environment, and now just I'm in this loop of death that I can't access it. So and then I'm going from that to trying to watch the feedback you're giving the rest of the group.
I
So
see.
I'm just kind of in no man's land. I'm in purgatory, unfortunately, right now.
Okay.
So
Let me just maybe focus our chat then briefly on you if you want.
mhm.
Were you able to put the video in Slack, download it and put it in Slack?
No, because it was a huge video, and I just came back to watching it, and then I forgot to do it. That's why I was trying to find a transcript, just because it might have been smaller, and then I went down that rabbit hole.
Gotcha. Like how
Yeah.
huge are we talking? Like 10 gigabytes?
I mean, I don't think it's gonna ruin the computer. It was just a big one. Now I just have to go back to it.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't want to slow down the group. I'm listening to what you guys are saying because it's super helpful
No
when I get
slowdown at
there.
all. No slowdown. I think we've got that first example in the bag. We're still making good time. Take a moment, pause, and just download the video in the background. That way you can, stay engaged. And once we get the video, we'll pop it into Slack, and it takes a few minutes. So all good.
Yeah. Okay.
I want to make sure we get something useful for you too. Um, let me circle back to Monica. Based on the sales transcript analysis that we did, what can we do to enhance this, right? Like what do you ultimately want to know?
So kind of looking through it right now, but I would say, what can we do better to drive a more like a faster deal? Because there's still a lot of follow-ups. It just seems like it's one of many exploratory kind of calls, and just like, how do we get someone to sign that contract faster? What language can we do? Do we set up another call during that call as a follow-up? Those type of things. I would like to stop all of these sales calls or reduce them.
Yep. So I think part of it is the kind of sales coaching is a part that you value. Given the last thing that you said, I get the sense that your sales is a very consultative enterprise type of sale. I strongly recommend we try the prompt pack from last week where it creates the post sales email using the Nate Azrella method. And I think you'll get a lot of mileage out of that. If you're open to screen sharing again, let's unpack that together because I think that's super valuable for everyone.
All right.
And I will bring up the last week's prompt pack and share that in the chat so we can look at that. Okay, I put that in the chat. And it is number 2. And this is using the Selling With framework. It's a book by Nate, and it's called Selling With, and it's all about enterprise and consultative sales approaches. Very useful.
There we go.
Okay. So yeah, copy this thing, and then we will modify it once it's inside of your.
I'll just do it all.
Yep, do it all.
Kind of. Okay.
Oh, interesting. Kept all this weird formatting. Okay. All right, let's edit where it says, I will provide you with the meeting notes below. You could say here, I have already provided the meeting notes, as attachments or in the project folder.
Okay.
Okay.
Good to go. I don't hit too high.
Let's just keep going down below.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Okay. Hopefully it
I'm
knows.
enter happy.
Yeah, I can see that.
And Claude.
While it does
Good
this,
stuff.
I'm gonna pull
Okay.
up my sort of long form version of this prompt. So give me a sec while it does that in the background.
Seems to have frozen.
Where is this awesome template? Okay, I think it's here. Let me grab that.
I'll just share that I did 3 transcripts and I did what you suggested with the cross transcript and it worked great.
Oh, excellent.
So I picked out the common theme and yeah.
Perfect. If you're willing to share and just tell us kind of what you took away from that and what kind of learnings you have from it, that's super helpful.
You're on mute.
You're on mute, Trace, is what Adam was saying.
Sorry.
It happens.
Yeah, it's just, let's see, back to my Gemini. This part here was super helpful. I mean, this is something we can put in our proposals or, it's just really great.
Good. Okay, that's excellent. And I think that really is the point, right? Finding these insights so that you could use them in messaging, proposals, the website, and really try to find ways to synthesize all of the language that's being just shared. And when it's just coming at you in the middle of a meeting, it's hard to pick up on all of it. So that's great.
It's great.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And then Monica, what was the output of what you saw?
My Claude froze.
Oh no.
I even like refreshed the browser twice. It's not doing it. I don't know if it's would it be because of those characters or just sort of
No,
it's
that's
had
not-
its
just had a moment.
yeah.
Let me show you my screen. And I'll share one that I've already done. So let me just bring that up so that you could see it. Okay. Sharing my screen. All right, so this is the full prompt. The one in the starter pack is just kind of like I mentioned, compacted and digestible. So the instruction, and I'll share this with everyone, maybe a more complete set is I want to send a follow-up problem statement, the cost and consequences. These are phrases and concepts that Nate uses in his book called Selling With. And in it, he talks about how using the problem statement, cost and consequences as markers in your messaging and your emails are ways of crafting these problem statements. And then he gives examples, right? Despite trying something, we still can't do something because of some problem that's caused by some cause. And the idea then is we want to essentially fill in the blanks. And we want the LLM to fill in those blanks based on the transcript. Eventually, you get to a point where you could do those blanks because you intimately know the problem. You've done it so much that this is just the consequence or the output of a sales call, a discovery call, etc. But for now, we're going to rely on the LLM to help us and guide this. And this is the important part. Nate recommends this kind of framing. Every time something happens, our pain point costs us something. Again, I'm indicating to the LLM these parentheticals or brackets are where I want it to search through the transcript in order to find the loss, the pain, the frequency based on that conversation. This works best if you know that you're going to send an email like this after the fact, so that in the conversations that you're having, you're kind of fishing for these little details so that they appear in the transcript so that the LLM can grab them and put them into a follow-up email. That's just good discovery, period. And then this is a sort of defining what do I mean by reach, frequency, severity, loss. These are more just telling the LLM, this is what I mean by the bracketed comments. And I believe this is from the book. This idea that where your buyer is today is the problem, where your buyer wants to be tomorrow, payoff. And then this email, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, it kind of describes what the steps of the framework are, and then a template of what it looks like. So I'm going to paste this in the chat and let's try it. Trace, are you open to trying this in your Gemini?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let me put that in the chat and let's give it a go. Oh man, all right, you're gonna have to paste it a couple of different times because the chat window has a 1,000-character limit, which is just outrageous. What the heck?
Well,
All right, it's pasted across.
you can email it to me if that's easier.
I already threw it in the chat if that's okay with you.
Sure. Let me.
So it required 3 pastes. So just make sure you grab each paste, put it into the prompt window, and then let's give that a shot. This will work best with one transcript loaded as opposed to all 3 so that it knows it's dealing with one conversation.
Okay.
Let's try that out. Monica, you can try this as well. And let me check in with Adam. Were we able to download that video?
I did, and then
Good.
I put it into Slack.
Mhm.
I just copied and pasted the transcript into Chat GPT
Yeah,
because I
that's
didn't think it doesn't turn into a file. Is that the right way to do it?
correct. It won't turn into
Okay.
a file. You copy the transcript. If it's just
Oh,
transcript, pasting it into the context window is totally fine. If
yeah.
you have perhaps multiple, I would open up like a text pad or, Word or Google document, paste it in there, and then save it as a TXT or some kind of file that you could upload.
Uh-huh.
But for now, I think what you've got is fine.
Yeah. And then I ran it within Chat, and it did pull out something that's very helpful. It
Good.
was a simple thing just to do this exercise, but I can see the power of taking the information that was given and not being able to capture it all, and then getting a more, fine-tooth comb response that can help our efforts.
Good. I'm really glad
Yeah.
to hear that. You'll also notice that this is, I think if Otter and Fireflies and all these note-taking apps had a deep sense of personalization around your individual pain points and what you're selling and all these different things, they would produce something that's closer to what you need.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, because they build a product for everyone, it's essentially a product for no one, right? In the sense that it's great and it's awesome to get the transcript and the summary, but it's not tailored to like what you really specifically need. And so
Yep.
this is a technique to just get you that last mile and
Mhm.
interrogate the transcript in a way that hopefully is super helpful to what you want it to do for where you
Yeah.
are in the journey.
No, I love it. It's really nice.
Good,
Totally good. No.
good. How are we doing, Trace?
I'm just uploading of the file.
And if you're okay to share your screen, it's great to just kind of watch and like
Sure.
fly on the shoulder, or rather fly on the wall. What's the
Yeah.
thing on the shoulder? There's a saying about being something on a shoulder.
Demon on my shoulder.
I'll take angel, not demon.
Okay, so here it is. And there's the attachment. So I was just about to hit enter or go.
Okay, let's give it a go.
Go for it.
Let's read this. Hi, Dave. Okay. I'm not sure what those brackets 252, 53 are. What is that?
I don't know.
I suspect that those are line numbers in the transcript that it's referencing or sourcing. So you'd probably have to edit those out. Um, but okay, let's keep going. Complexity of factors involved. Oh, I like how it says, as you noted, impacting the health and well-being of New Mexicans.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, it's silly that it kind of said every summer frequency. So you'd have to edit that out.
yeah. And then again, timeline. So there's some edits to do, but just this, it's really extensive. I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to send an email this long.
Correct. So I will tell you that the Nate Nesrela style emails are sometimes they're long if they're meant to be kind of a full recap of what's going on, but it's also I think your intuition is correct that this in its current form is too long. So I think you could guide it and tell it here where it says Ask Gemini. You can just
Uh-huh.
give it that feedback. This is great email. Remove the parentheticals around timeline and frequency. Remove the bracketed statements and make this shorter so that it is consumable by an executive team. Yep. And the thinking here that Nate often talks about is these emails are the ammunition the champion needs to just forward the email on to other members of the team for the member of the team to quickly grasp what was the basis of the conversation, should they even care about this, and does it align with the OKRs or objectives of the organization, right? And it is closer to this depth and length. It's a few paragraphs. It's not significant in terms of it's not, like a 20-page memo or anything.
Yeah.
But hopefully you see the style and the framing that Nate talks about with the problem, the frequency, the cost and all those different things. All of that is effectively positioning you and the solution relative to what they're currently doing that's not working.
Yep.
Does that align with
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. It does. I don't know why it says last Friday because this was like a year ago. So somehow it doesn't know the dates, but
I think in the transcript you probably mentioned a Friday in there somewhere. It's
oh,
latching onto
maybe.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
Cool.
Thank you. It's just every time it blows my mind.
Good. Okay, well, we've got maybe 5-10 minutes left. Just want to check in and see if there's any specific questions that you have or things that you want to try, and just kind of leave it as an open session. I can keep kind of pushing us to more and different nuance, but want to check in with everyone first.
I have a question. As you know, we're like always working on our pitch, and we have another pitch event, which with DOE for potential business partners and investors. What would you suggest how to use these tools to improve our pitch deck?
Give me a little bit more context. You want to improve the pitch deck. I got that part. Who's the audience and how much time do you have?
We have 8 minutes. The audience are investors and potential industry partners. And
Okay.
that's really the most important for us is trying to get somebody who,
Gotcha.
some company that has environmental data that's not using AI.
Okay. Are you willing to share that deck with me right now? And I could kind of
Of course.
walk you through what
Yeah.
I would do.
I will send you a link. Is that the best?
Yeah, link a PDF. I'm actually looking for like an attachment of
Oh,
some
look at
sort.
the PDF. Okay, just give
Yeah.
me a minute.
Yep. Go ahead and do that. And then I'm gonna edit the file and put the Nasrella style. Update this.
You want me to just email it to you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Rod Intro Hub. Okay, there it is.
Okay. Wait, sorry, which one did you use? Which email?
Intro Hub.
Okay, no problem. That works. Okay. Waiting for that to come in.
Is that good? Okay, there, you should get it.
All right. Hmm. Okay, waiting for it to cross through the ether.
I'll check my outbox just to be sure. Yeah.
Got your email about the attendance comment you made, but not the other one yet. If you want to send it to my personal, let me go to all and I don't have it yet. There, got it.
Got it?
I'm downloading it. And this will be a speed run. We got about 7 minutes left before we all circulate back. Okay. And then I am sharing my screen now. Okay, so just to recap, the question is you have a pitch presentation coming up. You talked about the audience of who's going to be there, and you have 8 minutes to present the deck. The question is, how could I use large language models to help me enhance my presentation and set me up for success? Is that a good recap? Perfect.
Yes, great.
Tell me more about the audience real quick so that we give context to the model.
Potential geothermal industry partners, potential environmental consulting firms that have data analysis problems and are not using AI.
Okay.
Mid-sized oil and gas companies.
Okay. And then the context is I have an 8-minute presentation for the following audience. And what is the venue or what is the event?
It's a DOE hosted partner pitch program.
Great. I'm just going to call it a presentation coach so that it has some context. And I'll say attached is my current slide deck. Do you have a transcript of you doing the presentation as a practice? I know that you and I have had sessions where you practice it. Any chance you've recorded those or have the transcript so that we have the talk track that goes with it?
No, but I like that. I can do that on my own later. Yeah.
Perfect. So yes, I would add that as a context. I'm dragging in your file now.
Wow.
And then I would say, first give me an overview of your understanding of my presentation. Now, why am I doing that? I'm not going to start with just like 7 questions. As you've already seen, I like to go methodically, step by step, so that it has enough horsepower on each question. The first thing I'm doing is I'm asking it, what does it understand about the presentation? That just checks to make sure that it can actually read the file, it is looking at the content, can extract information from it. That's important because some PDFs are more image-based than text. And if it's not actually looking at the images, et cetera, and understanding what's going on, then it's hard to take whatever it says at face value. So let's just do a quick overview to make sure that it understands what's going on. This seems familiar to me based on what you've pitched me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it's pretty good. I think it's understanding what we're talking about here. Perfect.
Yep.
Now that it has that, refreshingly honest. Very nice. Okay.
Oh, it's looking at all the appendix slides too, which
Yep. That's okay.
may not be.
Okay, look, it's already, there we go. It's already got this. This is what I wanted to see. Would you like tailored suggestions? Yes. Give me tailored suggestions on how to tighten the narrative. Okay. Now let's get into the meat of how it could help us.
Wow.
I think I said the same thing. I'm a genius. That's why ChatGPT keeps calling me genius. It's what can I say?
Awesome. Wow.
Okay. So you could iterate on this a couple of times. I would add and attach a practice run of your narrative and the talk track and have it critique that as well relative to each slide. And in a practice run, you might, if you want, you can annotate after or just parenthetically say, this is slide 1, and then go into it just so that it knows exactly where the talk track is lining up to different slides. Don't have to, but it might help.
Might help. Okay.
Okay.
Do you mind going back to the first, the prompt so I can just do a screenshot?
I'll send you this. I'll share this whole thing with you so you can just grab it. And then the other thing, in 1 minute left, what I want to do is I want you to analyze the graphical layout and visualizations that I have, critique those. Don't hold back. So, I said this too.
You're amazing.
Ah. Okay. So
Awesome. Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
the thing I'm trying to point out here is that it can do not only the words, but it can critique the visual layout of your slides. Okay. Tell it that it is a visual designer expert and have it tear into the layouts. And I was going to tell it, give me recommendations, but it's specifically already giving recommendations, which is fantastic.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'll share this with you so you have it. And
Thank you so much.
I'm going to put it in the chat right now. And then let's go back to our breakout rooms. Such a pleasure having you and having that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in the chat. Okay, rock on. Let's go back to our main rooms. And Trace, you okay if I pick you for the share back?
Sure.
All right.
Oh, it says conversation inaccessible or not found.
Okay, in that case, I'll copy paste it all and send it to you. I'm not sure why I did that, but I'll fix that. See you in the main room.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully that was enlightening and you got a lot out of it. I know our breakout session was very hands-on, tried lots of really cool things. I trust yours was as well. So it's that moment where we get to share back and come together as a group. We've chosen Trace as our guinea pig, sharer. And Trace, tell us what we did and what you learned.
Well, we learned to upload into the prompt and our texts or our customer interviews or whatever they were. And we learned to cater it to make it more succinct if we wanted it. It was absolutely incredible. And then the end was especially exciting for me because I learned how to upload my PowerPoint pitch I'm working on and got all kinds of immediate and instant and really clear feedback.
Excellent. Excellent. I want to add a couple of things to that. For everyone who was looking at last week's starter pack content, I am enhancing prompt number 2.
You went mute.
Muted again.
This is the danger of using hotkeys. The mute key and the share key are just like right next to each other. It's unfair. Okay, sharing, and there it is. So I've updated the post-meeting follow-up email. And this is one that we did in our breakout room because there's this question about, okay, I analyzed the transcripts of my sales calls, and geez, what I learned is that I really want to push the sale forward. I just want to call out that this is a wonderful framework for doing that, for pushing the sale forward. So I want you to come back to this one. It's the link from week 4's content that you got from Alejandro, and it is the Nate Nasrella framework for the post-meeting sales email follow-up. And really, you could just take your transcript, copy paste this entire prompt in here, which has the whole framework, and let her rip. And Trace, what did you think of the email that you got back?
It was the first version was a little long, but the second was incredible. Yeah.
Very good. Cool. Okay, let me go to Chris. Chris, who did you nominate for your share back? And Chris, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Well, we were going to let someone volunteer, but none of my guys are stepping forward here.
Oh, just pick on someone. It's the
All
best
right,
part of
Jason.
being the facilitator.
I know. I was going to let someone volunteer. Jason?
Go.
Oh, Michael. All right, there we go.
What we did toward the end, went through, I just tried to go through adding names and email addresses of customers I have to try to get some more details about what the companies are that are signing up for our services, and did it just with ChatGPT. With a few prompts, was able to get the information that I wanted, but then we sort of went through the details and chatted about how enriching that data or putting it through Clay or Apollo first would probably be a good way to do that in a more efficient manner than maybe just putting it right into ChatGPT. I was putting in 511 rows the first output sucked. So that's something to look into. And then sort of following off over the next week, where we started with looking after Keeper, et cetera, I want to update the deck with, making sure that competitor landscape actually makes sense and that there's not new players that I need to address right here. So I'm going to use those prompts to try to make that a lot quicker than, my standard Google search. Let's go through everybody, see if they updated their website. What have they added right here? Because obviously we're all startups and trying to go quick. So that's something I think will be exciting and just help to, quickly put that together to make the deck better for, all these potential investor calls or sprints that I have related to.
Awesome. Very cool. Love that. One thing I want to just put on everyone's radar, when you are ready, I'm not suggesting you do this right away. Clay just announced an integration with Google Slides. I haven't had a chance to go deep on it, but the opportunity is very interesting. If you are often preparing a slide deck that you are taking and then personalizing little bits and pieces, you know the role. You create the master template, you copy it, and then you're presenting it to so-and-so, and you got to update 4 or 5 slides that's tailored to this customer, this investor, that investor. My understanding is that by using this integration between Clay and Google Slides, it can help you accelerate some of that personalization. So you have your template personalized for customer pitches and other things. So when you're ready for that, just keep that in your back pocket as a place that you might want to explore. Chris, have you played with that? Have you? You have. Tell us a
So
little bit.
I have not done the direct integration with Google Slides, but a few months ago I was creating Clay research, and then I had all of the bits that I manually put into the slides. So the ability to have a variable slot to then put that field in, that would be great.
Yeah. And for those of you who didn't catch it, Chris, what I understood you're saying is you've got the Clay agent or a pipeline of research that's being done, synthesized, and then some nugget of wisdom that comes out of that pipeline could then be put into the slide. That's awesome.
Yeah, so the specific example was I was looking at Google Speed to take a look at prospect websites and see how fast they were loading, comparing that against G2 and what the average in G2 was. And then my email and my slides were very highly targeted to that particular customer and where they were failing and where my client could help.
That's a great campaign. I love that. Okay, folks, we got 3 minutes left. Thank you, facilitators. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Taya, for joining. Thank you, me, for facilitating. It was a real pleasure and always so much fun to get in the weeds and actually have a couple of turns with the LLM on a live question. I think that's the best. I mentioned that I updated the week 4 sales starter prompt pack. I just put that in the chat so you can have it. And I'm really looking forward to next week, which will be our last session together. But you know that we're always available for you in case you ever want to have a dialogue. Chris, if they would like to reach out to you and have a follow-up conversation, what's the best way for them to reach you?
I just threw my LinkedIn in there, so they're welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably the quickest and easiest.
All right, wonderful. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for your time. You're going to see the LinkedIn messages going out from Alejandro, Arrowhead Center, New Mexico Scale Up, me. Do us all a love and a favor. Hit like, throw some comments in. It just shows the good work that we do so that we get more funding from all the powers that be to continue these kinds of programs. So I think Alejandro has been sending out some kind of Google feedback form. You have no idea how powerful your voices are in convincing stakeholders that this is a worthwhile program for the state. And I just encourage you to fill that out. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next week.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.